Welcome to our kitchen. Today we prepare a Phoenician sweet, whose recipe is reported by the ancient Roman author Cato. We start with ingredients. We need spelt, eggs, cheese, and honey. First we pound in the mortar the spelt. We need just to coarsely crush it. For this ingredient, the author uses the Latin word alica. Alica identifies a variety of farro or spelt, which was processed to whiten it. Pliny describes the method. The grains were coarsely broken, sifted many times, and whitened with gypsum. We substituted this preparation coarsely grinding the spelt. This recipe was written in the 2nd century before the Common Era by Cato in his agronomy treatise De Agricultura. The recipe is called Puls Punica, which means Punic pulse. Puls was an ancient Roman staple food made with overcooked cereals. To find more information about puls and polenta, another ancient staple food similar to puls, check the description below. It's interesting to note that Cato also wrote several recipes originally Greek, testifying the Greek and Phoenician influence on ancient Roman cuisine. We steep the spelt in water for at least a couple of hours. Then we cook the spelt until it's overcooked and almost reduced to a cream. The cooking time can change considerably, depending on how much you pounded the spelt in the mortar and how long you steeped it in water before cooking it. We didn't salt the water because we will add a good amount of cheese later, which will add enough sapidity to the dish. Ancient Romans used cow, sheep, and goat cheese, as well as cheese made mixing different kinds of milk. Varro, who wrote an agronomy treatise in the 1st century before the Common Era, considers cow cheese more nutritious than sheep and goat cheese. Columella in the 1st century writes that cheese was prepared curdling milk with lamb or goat rennet, and also with wild cardoon flowers or sunflower seeds. But he prefers cheese curdled with fig sap. Meanwhile, we cut the cheese into small pieces. We need 300 grams of cheese for 100 grams of spelt and 50 grams of honey. This is the ratio recommended by the author. The author tells us to use fresh cheese. We chose a Primosale, but you can use any kind of fresh cheese. The type of cheese you choose and the honey variety will greatly influence the flavor of the dish. It's important to pay attention to how salty the cheese is. We didn't use salt in this recipe, but you may need to add a pinch of salt to give sapidity to this dish. When the spelt is overcooked and almost reduced to a cream, we add the cheese and honey and cook until the cheese melts. We suggest choosing a good variety of honey. According to Columella, a 1st century agronomist, the best varieties of honey are the ones obtained from savory, timbra, an aromatic herb similar to savory, thyme serpillum, oregano, and rosemary. Even how the honey was harvested was important for the quality. Columella suggests smoking the beehive to harvest the honey as soon as the honeycombs are full and sealed. It is important to avoid removing all the honeycombs not to damage the hive. The first time it is necessary leaving the fifth part, the second time 1/3. This depends on the availability of flowers in the area in which the bees are kept. It is fundamental removing the old honeycombs, leaving the ones in better conditions. The same day the honey is drained through willow baskets, then the honeycombs are pressed with the hands, obtaining in this way a lower quality honey, which according to Columella must be kept separated from the first quality honey. Then we add the egg. The original recipe calls for 1 egg for 1 pound of spelt, which is about 327 grams. We reduced the amount of the ingredients, keeping the same ratio, so we need just 1/3 of an egg. We continue to cook, stirring for a few minutes. We suggest serving the Puls Punica warm. This pulse has a creamy texture and a pleasant honey aroma. And after all, it is not only a flavorful dessert, but also an interesting testimony of the significant influence of other Mediterranean populations on ancient Roman cuisine. If you're interested in ancient foods and flavors, or you're just looking for unusual and delicious recipes, please subscribe our channel.